Thank you very much. You know what? I always get nervous in the beginning every time I come up here in front of a crowd. But Sean, after hearing you talk about stories, I was just unraveling my life about some stories that I didn't have the courage to tell, that I'm going to tell today. But this first one, you need to promise me that you will not repeat it. Well, when I was a little kid with my brothers and sisters, we decided to play cowboys and Indians in the apartment. So we've got these horses, you know, with the poles that are made of wood. We're riding around. Of course, you're playing cowboys, you know, you need to find a watering hole where you can get something to drink. And of course, the only thing we found was this toilet bowl in the bathroom. And so we did make sure we flushed it a couple of times first. Then we took a cup, dipped it in. About this time, my parents come home and catch us drinking out of the toilet bowl. Now, can anybody think what this has to do with priorities? You better have someone on the lookout when you're doing something you may not supposed to be doing. You know, when I decided to work on this topic, it scared me to death. How to get your priorities straight. Because in order to do the topic, what life do I need to look at? Not other people's lives. I need to look at my own. I need to look at me and see and just do an audit of my life. And the first thing that, you know, let's take the harmless area first, and that's the health and wellness area. About 8 years ago, I was about 20 pounds overweight, high blood pressure, cardiovascular insufficiency, and taking medication on top of that. Now, I was still in the military at the time, in the reserves, but honestly, the physical fitness standards for the regular units are not that high to pass the test, except for the Marines. That's a little different. Is that right? A little bit higher. A little bit higher, that's right. They're much higher. So they weren't that high, but you know, I started feeling, I could feel that I did not feel good. I was 48 years old at the time. I'm 85 now. Well, I thought somebody would believe that. I was 48 years old. I'm 57 now. 48 years old, and I recognized that something's got to change. I decided to look around me and say, wait a minute, there's Joe. I know Joe. Let's see, he's got problems with diabetes. How's he living his life? How's he eating? What's he doing? There's a causal connection there. These things are not happening by accident. But what's he thinking is the other thing. You know what the thought is? That's what happens to you when you get old. When you get old, yeah, right. And what I decided to do was started making changes. I said, wait a minute, Bob, stop. If you want things to be different, you want to make sure you don't belong to that club called WWC. Anybody know what that means? Of course, a few of you do, but anybody know? Wheelchairs, walkers, and canes. We do not want to belong to that club later on in life. That club, and the thing is, 80% of those people, approximately 80%, belong to that club later on, not because it had to be, but because of how they lived their lives. That's what caused that. So and David, that was really good to mention concepts. And that's really what we're taking away today. And as I was writing this article about how to get your priorities straight, I said, well, what kind of concept can I make here? What's going on right now? Elections. We've got campaigning going on. So I said, wait a minute, how could I form an analogy here? And I said, all right, here's what you need to do. Pretend, just like a kid. Kids are really good at pretending. You tell them, be a soldier, and they automatically get the posture, and they know exactly what to do. Pretend you're the president of the United States of your life. You are now in charge. You're the commander-in-chief. You now will determine your cabinet. And of course, only the positions that are of higher importance are raised up to cabinet level. So now you're going to put your departments together. You've got your Department of Health. You've got your Department of Others. You've got your Department of God. You've got your Department of Finances. and all the other, and I would even raise to cabinet level position the Department of Time. I would say that that position is so important that we need to have a Secretary of Time that is also at cabinet level when everybody is getting together, because essentially we all only have 24 hours a day to deal with, and how we prioritize is going to make a difference as to whether or not we're on track with where we want to take our life. Now, as President of the United States of your life, you are going to sit down with your cabinet members, and that's essentially a part of you. You're going to do an audit. All right, guys, let's sit down and take a look. How have things been up until now? And guess what? This is the part that scared me to death, because this means I now have to do, and I spent 20 years in Germany, man muss die Finger in den Wund tun. You need to put your finger in the wound. And sometimes it does hurt a little bit, but you know what? You need to step back and tell yourself, it's okay. It's okay to be you. It's okay to be you, regardless of what you've done or what's happened. And I do volunteer work for the Covenant House. It is a faith-based nonprofit organization. These are troubled youths, homeless, runaway kids. I take them out on the beach for a workout, but honestly, I'm not just working their bodies, I'm working their minds. And I had this one kid come up to me and say to me, he said, Bob, you know, my mother didn't want me. My mother didn't want me. And this kid was able to keep a straight face. I had a hard time keeping my composure when that kid said that to me. And I've been volunteering for them for about 6 years. All I've noticed that everybody wants from life is they're only asking themselves one question when they come together with you. Do you care? That's the only question they're asking. If they feel like you care, then they're willing to share. And that is what I noticed with these kids, these troubled kids. And the thing is, they've got bad role models too, and male role models in particular, not very good. So I'm in this military-style attire, taking these kids out, and I even had one of the kids say, hey, why didn't you yell at me? One of the kids actually said that. We had a guy who was pretty aggressive. As a matter of fact, this is an entirely different group, not the Covenant House. I had, in this group, I had a cross-dresser. Do we have any cross-dressers in this group today? Any cross-dressers? Oh, is that, no? We had a cross-dresser. And it was interesting. During the workout, this guy was disturbing the class. He was disturbing. There was no team focus in that. Hey, it was all about me. It was all about me. And that's it. This guy was having, it wasn't the cross-dressing. He was having what I call a me day. It's all about me. I said, all right, you want to keep doing your cross-dressing thing, that's fine. But you need to make sure you're focusing on other people. And that's why the Department of Others is so important when we're talking about priorities. And Mahatma Gandhi said, action expresses priorities. It is not just what we think. And thinking, of course, is important. We need to devote time to thinking. But that thought about those positive things we need to do, they need to grow legs. And they need to move out. And then you get those obstacles that also come along, and they're going to come, and they're there to help strengthen character. And speaking of thinking, General Patton once said to his staff, he said, you know, when everybody's thinking the same thoughts, someone here is not thinking. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.